Good afternoon, and welcome to Everybody, the podcast which shares stories that highlight people in life that make the world an interesting place, which ultimately ties us all together in unique and wonderful ways. And who am I, you might ask? I would be the head wrap socialite, wife, mom, micro influencer in the fashion and etiquette world. But on this podcast, I will be introducing you to some people who I've had the opportunity to meet along my journey, who have helped enrich me in my life in beautiful ways, and who I hope will do the same in yours. Today's special guest is Kelly S., whom I actually met. I think we met like 10 plus years ago during a photo shoot, and you and your husband were the photographers. And I remember you being just quite chill. I think one of the questions you asked me during the photo shoot was, do you want to get on the turnstile where they put the luggage? And I just remember from that moment, I don't know if our paths will ever cross again. I hope that they do. But there was just something so refreshing about you. I hope we actually get a chance to work together again. And sure enough, a few years later, we worked together on another project. I knew we were friends. And it never ceases to amaze me that anytime I see you and your family out, you could be talking to a completely different group of people, but we always make that eye contact. Even if we don't talk at that moment, we always have that connection. And love that is what brought me to wanting to sit with you on today's podcast.
That's so nice of you to say.
So thank you, Kelly. Thank you for being here. You're welcome. So Cal, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
There's so many directions to come from, but currently I'm a 50-year-old woman with graying hair, married, have a 16-year-old son. My husband and I work together on a photo business, nonstop, 24/7. We run out of things to talk about because every experience is shared.
Yeah.
And it's especially tough this time of year because it's our slower time of year. So we're literally in the house, like from me to you, across from each other all day long.
Wow.
I hear every morsel he chews. I hear every breath he takes. So just being here with you is such a vacation.
I love it. And as you're saying, like the morsels, that's one of my big pet peeves, right?
It's a real
it's a real condition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, do you get angry?
Oh, I get so
yes.
I
just want to hit someone when I can hear the chewing. So, and my husband knows this, and so he'll be like, "Should I eat this in the other room?" And I'll yes. Or if we're watching the same movie together, I'm like, you better turn that volume up so I don't hear you,
It's like the popcorn, like,
oh.
You guys, look, tell him he would be so good with ASMR. Not that I would listen, but.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was a condition until my brother and I were driving somewhere. He's like 8 years younger, and he was like, did you ever have this thing where you just feel violent? And I was like, no way, it's hereditary. And so he's the one that told me there's an actual name for it, Yeah.
For those of you listeners out there who know what this name is, we're not going to say the name because I don't even think I can remember what the name is, but hit us up in the comment section and let us know what the name is.
But having said that,
yes, my friend.
Husband is my best friend.
I love that.
And I've never worked with anyone that I've felt so supported
for sure
by,
for sure.
Talk about having the best business partner and life partner where you have the common goal, the common vision, where one drops off, the other picks up. We have that yin and yang constantly, and it's not even a conversation. It's just, you see it and you do it.
I love it.
So I love that part. And so but I joke about the other stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
The good stuff outweighs the
chewing. Scott, we love you.
I mean, he what attracted me to him was, he could make me laugh, Not like, I love to laugh.
Right.
But he'll say things that his mind works differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because one time we were really tired. We were on a long road trip.
Right.
We pulled off at a rest stop.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in this Honda Element, which is like square like a toaster.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's all metal.
Uh-huh.
And it's raining really hard and it's pounding on the rooftop. Yeah. And he said something like, I feel like I'm in a can of beans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, in this metal can.
Yeah, it's just so funny that, he's imagining himself like that. And he cracks me up,
Since we're talking about your wonderful husband, I think you said it so beautifully how you both complement each other. It's like your spirit recognized something wonderful in his spirit. From that, the explosion happened.
Yeah. Well, when I first met him, I thought, oh, he has really kind eyes. I really like his eyes. But now we joke that our spirits are so melded. We're so used to doing things together that if something, God forbid, ever happened to our photo business and we had to go out and get quote unquote real jobs, there's no way. Every once in a while we'll look at job openings.
Right.
Because we're like, what should we do for our retirement? Should we be professors? What's left?
Right.
And we read the job descriptions and we're like, yeah, I could do half and you could do half, but they would have to hire us together.
Yeah. And how would the pay scale work?
You just have to pay one of us.
Yes.
But
it's like 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah. But we're going to need 2 chairs. So we say we share a brain.
So how did you guys start this photography business? Were you guys always into photography?
Well, Scott, when I met him, he was a photography teacher.
Oh.
And he was doing more landscape, like Ansel Adams, black and white landscapes. Yeah. And he loved teaching because he got his summers off. So then he would drive to Alaska, live out the back of his truck and take pictures in national parks. And they're beautiful pictures. And then I was trying to work my way up the corporate ladder. This was post-college. But I'd always loved photography, looking at it in like Time Life magazines. The photography of the Beatles jumping on their beds, the black and whites, the day in the life kind of thing. Yeah. The Kennedys. Yeah. And their Cape Cod type homes on sailboats. Yeah. Just the day in the life stuff. And I always knew I wanted to have my own business when I was going to college. I just didn't know what it would be. Got you. So then we fast forward, Scott and I are living together. And this is back before digital cameras. This is film. So you have to buy the roll of film. Yeah. You take all these photos. You don't know if any of it turned out. That's true. Then you have to take it to a store and get it printed. And then you pick up the prints and then you spread them all out and you look at them, And he was doing a lot of free work for friends. Yeah. He's just playing around having fun. Right. And doing what he loves. Yeah. And it was just a side thing to stay busy when he wasn't teaching, And so sometimes it would be neighbors that would ask him, can you photograph our family? Or it would be a cousin, or it would be a student's mom. And he would do it, and he would never ever ask to at least be reimbursed for his film or the printing. The business person in me is telling me you either need to get a new hobby or you need to start at least asking people to reimburse you for the expenses. Yeah, for sure. But other people did. Yeah. And he was shocked. Yeah. And then he got a little excited and he's like, well, how do I know when I can charge more? Yeah. And I said, well, when you're so busy, you need to slow things down. But when we first started out, I like to think of myself as his talent manager. I love it. Like he's my Cher or my Madonna. Yeah. My Prince. I love it. Yeah, seeing that we're in Minnesota, we'll say he's your Prince. He's my Prince. It's that artist thing. Yeah. Art comes from your heart. It's not a cerebral thing. It's very sensitive. You're putting yourself out there. Yeah, for sure. And I don't know, if someone's paying you, it's validating you as a person. Yeah. And how you see the world. It's a very raw thing to ask someone to pay you for what you're giving from your heart. Right. I think it's beautifully said. When you think about anybody who is creative, the vulnerability piece that you put out there, because you have your vision in your head, but maybe you're thinking, does my vision align with what they ultimately see as the finished product? And then hopefully those worlds end up melding and meshing together. And they're like, oh, amped my vision. Yeah. Yeah.
And here we have this beautiful masterpiece.
And that is kind of my thing, is I always led with humor, and I don't know why. But even when I was climbing that corporate ladder, I worked at General Mills, and they gave me this project where I had to write the FAQs for summer hours. So on Fridays during the summer, General Mills would let people go. You could leave and not get in trouble at about noon. You could dress casually for that day, but it was business casual, you know. And they didn't want people showing up in cutoff shorts, you know. So they needed. And I'm sitting on a plane going to spring break about this time of year, and I'm trying to write these FAQs, and I'm just like, oh, this is so painful. I hate sounding like a policeman.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I hate this policy. And so then I just like decided I'm just going to write how I would want it. And I turned it into this creative writing project where I used like Minnesota humor.
Oh, sweet.
Can I do this? Yeah, sure, you betcha. But don't you go doing this now, you hear? You know? And and then I turned it in that way. And I just figured that's how I would want to. You can say things that are icky, right, in a funny way, and it's more palatable. I agree. It's taking sugar with the pill kind of thing. Yeah. And I just thought, I was so proud of it, and I was done. Like, I had fun doing it. I was proud of how it was worded. I felt like anyone who read it would get a kick out of it. Right. And apparently there were all these closed door meetings about it. Oh my gosh. Where all these higher ups were like, can you use humor in human resource communications? Like, is this appropriate? Right. And eventually I got called in to meet the CEO. Oh my gosh. Which is a really big deal. Yeah, it's this glassed in wing, and they have really thick carpet. Yeah, you go through this wing. I'm sure it's like, right? Yeah. Dark and moody when you get in. And, all right, maybe it's not like, maybe it's like, dun, 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 dun. I don't know. Somewhere in between. Okay. Oh. Okay. So I'm sitting, and I'm pretty much a blank slate, just like I was before I started the interview with you. Like, I didn't even spend any time worrying about what's he going to ask me. What, I didn't even know why I was being asked in there. Usually your first inclination is, oh, I'm in trouble. I don't know. So I sit down, and he's like, I like these FAQs you wrote. I was like, yeah. I have like my master's in business, but I'm making copies. Right. It could have been my time to shine. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You betcha. And he's like, well, it's pretty clever. Yeah. He's like, well, I don't think you betcha is proper English. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, you idiot. Right. You're like, come on. Supposed to be. Yes. That's the joke. He's like, well, if you change you betcha to you bet, fine. Okay. So fine, you watered down the joke, but okay. Right. I didn't say that. Yeah. That's kind of the story of my life, though. Right. Like full concentrated Kelly is just too much. So you would be perfect on the East Coast. Exactly. See, look. Exactly. That's and I've been told that. I've been told that. Like, Kelly, you should be in New York. People get your communication style better there. I'm very direct. Right. I make a good consultant. Yes. I can get you from point A to point B. I will not BS you. Yeah. I will tell it like it is. And some things hurt. Right. But you'll be better for it in the end. There you go. And see, that's why you're my type of people. Coming from the East Coast, like growing up, that's how all of my friends were direct. Give it to me raw. This is, the unabashed, Kelly is what I need in my life every single day. Like, just give me this. Walking down the street, going to the supermarket. Yeah. I need this in my life. Continue. Again. Well, and I digress. Well, that's perfect. Because back to, you saying that when we see each other, we just catch each other's eye. I have that same feeling when I see you. You're that spirit where, I don't know, if I were an illustrator, I would draw a picture of kind of all these just lifeless people around me. Oh. Robots or zombies or something. But there's like this shining, and it's all black and white, but there's this shining, colorful person off in the distance that's just, no. no. You can just reach her and touch her.
You're so ridiculous. No.
That is the energy I see in you.
No, I appreciate that, and it's very humbling that you think of me that way. But all of us are here, I believe, to try to become the best versions of ourselves. And as we walk through the world, I think it's our responsibility, right, to present that being to the world. And it becomes, for me, growing up, all of the people, like the women and the men in my family, they just exuded that. And as a young girl, seeing these people in my space who were like that all the time, I think it couldn't help but hopefully rub off. Like I was saying, let me just get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
You know, and for you to say that, that is really humbling to me. And thank you.
Yeah. I see it as validation that I'm okay too. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't mind sticking out like a nail, but you get pounded a lot.
Yeah.
And to find out that other people stick out too in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if we take who we are and place that person in a box or place that being in a box, that's no good for society. Like I said, I need the Kellys in my life. I need the Scotts in my life. People who are going to be their true, authentic selves. So when I see you, you know, you give it to me straight, give it to me raw, but I know this is my girl. Like if I'm going to see her, I'm going to depend on her to give me who she is, not the person who she thinks I want to see, you know? And those are the people in my life. I think of you as a disruptor in a great way. I love those people because those people, you show me how I can be better and be more authentic myself. So I appreciate that about you, my friend.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't genuinely think of myself that way. So it's really nice to hear.
That's the truth.
Thank you.
There's a lot that I want to ask you. Right? Yeah. We'll take it back to the beginning. I was thinking about you, and I was thinking of how you grew up and how you traveled, moved every few years until you were in the 3rd grade. Can you share with the listeners?
So when I was born in Charleston, South Carolina, my dad was on a nuclear submarine, so he was still in the Navy.
Okay.
And my mom lived in military housing, and he would be gone for months at a time. And then we moved to Hawaii for a year or two. Then we moved to Maryland. Okay. So we zigzagged across country, literally.
Yeah.
Then my mom, I know that she was depressed most of the time when we were growing up. She was just really unhappy.
Yeah.
She was married at 19, had me at 20, and admits that she got married just to get out of the house and the environment that she was growing up in. But immediately upon getting married, just kept moving around the country and was never in a place where she could reconnect with her family. So she felt lonely, out of place. And then, so she frequently would leave my dad. As in, like, the Dear John, he would go to work, she'd leave a letter on the kitchen table. I'm leaving you, I'm taking the kids, and I'm not coming back.
Wow.
And then she would drive us across country to California. And then, so I ended up, I think I did preschool in Maryland, kindergarten in California, 1st grade in Motley, Minnesota, 2nd grade in Hastings, Minnesota, and then finally landed in Red Wing, Minnesota. So every year I was the new kid, you know.
That couldn't have been easy.
It wasn't, but then I look back now and I'm proud of that because I remember being in kindergarten in California and most of my class spoke Spanish. And I knew I couldn't understand the kids, but I was just going to sit there and listen, and eventually it would soak in. Eventually it would be okay. And so that I've carried with me throughout life. Anytime I have a new job or, you know, my kid was on a new soccer team every season and every, you know, meeting new parents, you know, you're the new kid on the sidelines, you know, and just how do you conduct yourself and how do you like not get so anxious that you can't make those connections with other people?
That's what I think makes you such an open person. You're open to understanding because you've had those experiences in your life that have led you to have to be nothing but open and to figure out your way in the world.
Yeah. And I look at life that way, though, where everything happens for a reason. So even though it was something horrible that happened, what can I learn from that? Like, what good came of it? And there is always something, you know. It's like the movie, is it called Sliding Doors? I can't remember. But there's a movie and they show this woman's two different lives if she had taken a left out of the subway instead of a right. And I believe that completely. And so as much as I don't like a lot of the stuff that happened in my childhood, I wouldn't be where I am today if I have that experience. Yeah.
What would you say, Kelly, is your greatest accomplishment thus far?
Oh, goodness. Our son. Not that I made him who he is. Just we worked extra hard to have him. We did the fertility thing, didn't work. We did the natural thing before that, didn't work. So then we did open adoption, which is what you do in the state of Minnesota if you're not doing international adoption. We went through all the workshops. We got approved. This was before websites where they literally had a 3-ring binder. The agency did. And you wrote a profile and you put some pictures in there and you hoped that a birth mom chose you out of this book. And we had 3 or 4 babies fall through where the birth moms asked us to be the parents to their child once it's born. But then they changed their mind. And the last one that hurt the most, the birth mom, she was young and she changed her mind because she decided Rochester was too big of a city.
Oh, wow.
For her baby to grow up in. And then we got the call about Lewis and we were really scared it was going to fall through and it didn't. And for the first few months that we had him, I felt like this imposter mom, you know, where I'm pushing him around in a stroller at places, but I felt like a big fraud, a big faker. The only good thing that came of it is finally I had an excuse as to why I'm fat.
You are ridiculous. You are ridiculous. You are ridiculous. You are ridiculous. Okay, go continue because you were beautiful. Let me just say.
Thank you. But so funny story, side note. There is another mom in town that you know too.
We will not put names.
No, I'm not gonna. No,
not
saying it.
No, don't do it.
But for years, her son went to the same daycare our son went to, and she'd see me in the halls, and she'd be, "Oh, it's so cool that we were pregnant at the same time, and we had our babies at the same time," and she's going on and on. And for years. And she started telling people, like, our boys ended up on the same soccer team. So then,
no, everybody's good. Yeah.
So she started telling people, no, there's all a bunch of boys.
That's true. That's true.
She started telling everyone how we were pregnant at the same time. So we had, like, this barbecue at our house for the team. And I had to just finally, I must have had a drink or something. And I'm like, I have to tell you something. I'm just fat. I've never been pregnant. Like, I just thought it was so funny.
Oh, how did she respond?
She's like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't get the reaction I wanted. Like, I just thought it was a little funny. Like, you couldn't have planned this long play joke.
Yeah, for years.
Oh, years.
My.
And I just let her believe it. And then when I told her, she's like,
whatevs.
So I had to have, just my own private giggle over it.
Yeah.
Our Lewis, we brought him home at 5 or 6 weeks. We had little visits with him in between there where he would come to our house for like half a day.
Nice.
Get used to the sights and sounds and smells.
Yeah.
We didn't bring him home right away, which I would have loved, but we had been through the other letdowns.
Yeah.
That we waited until all the legal deadlines passed.
Right.
So the day, on the clock, we were standing in the foster mom's home. And the social worker came in and the birth father has, I think it's like up to 30 days after the birth of a child to get his name on a registry to have claims to the child. And the agency advises the birth mom to don't sign your rights away until, because you can't fight him then if his name shows up and you've already relinquished.
I see.
So, there's all these rights that people have, and, the scary movies on TV, where this kid's playing in the front yard and the birth parents pull up and take him back. We didn't want that.
Yes.
So it's 5:00 business day. It's a Thursday. We're in the foster home mom. It's time.
Yeah.
And the social worker shows up, and we asked the social worker, did you get any calls today? Do we need to know, did anyone's name show up on this registry? And she's just, I don't know. I haven't been in the office all day.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. I guess I should check my voicemail.
Oh, hell.
Brought our photographer with that did weddings with us. And she's photographing the social worker on the phone, calling her voicemail to see if we can bring Lewis home.
Gosh.
Yeah. And she's like, no voicemails. Yeah. It was an accomplishment in that mentally we made it through to bring him home.
Yeah.
It was really, really hard. Just the roller coaster of emotions. And we learned through that process, kind of like, I guess, if you get pregnant, you don't tell people right away because then you have to go back to those same people and tell them when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But he was absolutely worth the wait, like he was meant for us. He's our only child, and we love him too much. And I just thank God that I get to be his mom.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I never thought I'd get to be his mom. And I don't forget it for a minute. So if I'm standing somewhere and I hear another mom complaining that she has to be 4 places at once, I just think, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're complaining.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because some people don't get that opportunity.
Yeah. So I am all about, I will drive my kid wherever, bring your friends, like, let's make it a party. And it just makes my heart so happy if when they were younger and they would just, he and his friends would sit there and sing to the radio or, I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, Cal, that makes my heart so happy. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. I see the joy and the happiness that you have, and it never ceases to amaze me how you and Scott are always on the soccer fields. That's another place that I know you from. And you're just there cheering the good, the wins, the losses, like you're there and you're giving that positivity to not only your son, but to all of the kids that are on the team.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Like, don't let me learn your name because I will cheer for you.
I love it.
It's just the coolest thing to see someone else be their true, unfiltered self.
That's it.
To see the joy on their face, to see them do something on the field that they didn't know even they could do. Just, I'm so proud to see these kids flourish and do what they do.
I agree. And I think, some of us take, these moments for granted, especially those of us who are able to be there 100%, present for the kids. A lot of parents, they're working like 2 and 3 jobs and they're never able to be there for their kids. And I'm sure for these kids who that you've reached out to and you've cheered for, you hold a special place in their hearts because you take the role of, even if their parents can't be there or their siblings can't be there, you take that role, and they know that when they look there and they see Miss Kelly there and Mr. Scott there, they're going to be cheering for me, just like as if I were their own.
Yeah. And maybe that just, I think it's that anti thing again, though. I don't know that I set out to do it intentionally, but looking back to my childhood, my parents were so consumed with themselves. I never felt like I had anyone looking out for me. And so I think that's just me wanting to give kids what I didn't have, if that makes sense. Like, I'm there, I'm present, and I'm celebrating who they are, not what they could or should be.
Yeah.
Giving them hugs.
Raising money.
Yep. Raising money
So that the kids who don't have can have something.
Bring that up. We just hit our goal.
You are just a beautiful spirit, and I think spirit recognizes spirit, and those of us who are meant to be on the journey, with each other, helping us and building us up and teaching us life lessons. And I don't think there's any moment where there's ever any coincidences that happen. I believe it's all, all part of the bigger picture of the universe. These are spirits that you meet along this journey are there to help you and to uplift you and to teach you something, even if at the moment, like you said, you don't always recognize it at the time. And it might be, hard lessons. Some of the lessons may be a little bit tough to digest at the time. But if we keep pushing forward, I believe, ultimately and eventually, like we'll see where those pieces fit together in our own lives. And with that being said, I was thinking about you and I came across this piece of literature, darling. I believe that each of us are on our journeys. And as Paulo Coelho says, we are travelers on a cosmic journey, stardust, swirling and dancing in the eddies and whirlpools of infinity. Life is eternal. We have stopped for a moment to encounter each other, to meet, to love, to share. This is a precious moment. It is a little parentheses in eternity. And I think about how we met, and I think about the different interactions that we've had over the years. And this basically sums up what I believe and what I think about you and Scott and Lewis, that you all, when you come through my life and my family's life, that you've left us with little pieces of stardust that we take on our travels every single day. And as a mom to a mom, I wanted to share with you that anytime I see Lewis, doesn't matter where I am, he will always take that moment to say hello to me. And that means a world of difference. So thank you to you and Scott and Lewis. And I just want to say I thank you, my friend, for taking this moment to share your thoughts on life, to share your story with not only me, but the listeners who will find this podcast. And I believe there are pieces of wisdom amidst the laughter that so many will take from this podcast. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing this time with me, Kel. I appreciate you and I appreciate your family and our friendship.
I love you, Trina.
I love you too.